When everything in my life began to fall apart, people told me not to worry. They said it kindly. They meant well, but worry does not listen to advice. It settles quietly in your chest and refuses to leave. I remember sitting alone one night, the lights off, the room silent. My hands were folded, but my heart was restless. I whispered, "God, I believe in you, but I don't know how to stop worrying." That was the night I realized something. Trusting God is easy when life is calm, but trusting Him when nothing makes sense, that is where faith is tested. I did not always live with fear. There was a time when my days felt steady, not perfect, but stable. I had a family, a routine, a sense of purpose. But slowly, without warning, worry crept into my life. It came through small things, bills, health concerns, unanswered prayers. I smiled during the day, but at night my thoughts would not rest. I worried about tomorrow, about mistakes I had already made, about things I could not control. I prayed, but my prayers felt rushed, like I was asking God to fix things quickly, instead of trusting Him deeply. I grew up believing in God. Prayer was part of life, faith was familiar, but trusting God completely, that was different. I believed God was powerful. I just wasn't sure He was personal. I handled most things on my own. I planned carefully. I worried constantly. I told myself that worry meant responsibility, but worry does not protect you. It only steals your peace. The first real crack came when I faced a problem I could not solve. No amount of planning helped. No advice worked. I lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, my heart racing. What if this goes wrong? What if I fail? What if God stays silent? These questions played over and over in my mind. I felt tired, not in my body, but in my soul. One night, I sat on the edge of my bed. I didn't know what to say, so I said the truth. "God," I whispered, "I am scared. I don't know what you're doing, and I don't know how to trust you right now." There was no thunder, no sudden peace, just silence. But that silence was not empty. The next morning, I opened my Bible randomly. My eyes fell on a verse I had heard many times before. "Do not worry about anything." I stopped reading. "Anything," my mind argued back. "Not even this. Not even when everything feels uncertain." I closed the book because trusting God sounded beautiful, but living it felt impossible. As the day passed, I noticed something. Worry had not solved a single problem in my life. It had only drained me. And maybe, just maybe, God was not asking me to stop caring. He was asking me to stop carrying what was never mine to hold. That thought stayed with me, and slowly a new journey began. I did not notice when worry became part of my daily life. It happened slowly, so slowly that it felt normal. I woke up worried. I went to sleep worried. In between, I pretended everything was fine. I smiled when people asked how I was doing. I said, "I'm okay." But my heart knew the truth. Being okay had become my way of hiding fear. Some problems cannot be fixed with effort. No matter how hard you try, they remain. I worried about money, about health, about the future. I worried about people I loved. I worried about things that had not happened yet. My mind was always running ahead, creating stories of what could go wrong, and each story felt real. I still prayed, but my prayers were different now. They were filled with fear. "God, please don't let this happen. God, please fix this quickly. God, what if everything falls apart?" I believed in God, but I trusted my fear more, and fear is a heavy master. God tried to speak to me gently, through small moments, a calm sunrise, a stranger's kindness, a verse that appeared at the right time. But worry made me blind. I was too busy thinking about tomorrow to notice God's presence today. One night, everything felt too heavy. I sat alone in my room, the lights were off, my chest felt tight, my breathing felt shallow. I placed my hand over my heart and whispered, God, I can't live like this anymore. Tears came quietly, not dramatic, just tired. In that silence, a question formed in my heart, not loud, not accusing, just honest. Do you trust me, or do you only trust me when life is easy? That question stayed with me. I realized something painful. I liked control. Worry made me feel in control, even when I wasn't. Letting go felt dangerous. Trust felt risky. But maybe control was an illusion I was clinging to. That night I tried something new. I did not ask God to fix anything. I simply said, God, I give you this worry. I don't know how to carry it anymore. It felt strange, uncomfortable, but also lighter. The worry did not disappear overnight. Nothing magical happened, but something small changed. I stopped fighting God and started leaning on Him. Trust did not arrive loudly. It came quietly, like a whisper in the dark. I wish I could say that once I prayed, worry never returned. But that is not how life works. Worry came back quietly, not all at once, just enough to remind me it was still there. One problem led to another, one question led to many more, and my heart began to feel heavy again. Outside, nothing looked different. I still worked, I still spoke kindly, I still smiled when needed. But inside, there was a battle, faith on one side, fear on the other. Some days faith felt strong, other days fear spoke louder, and fear always sounds convincing. There were thoughts I never shared with anyone. What if God forgets me? What if I am asking for too much? What if trusting Him leaves me disappointed? I felt ashamed of these thoughts, but God already knew them. So one night, I said them out loud. I sat on the floor, leaning against my bed. God, I said softly, I want to trust you, but I am afraid of being let down. My voice shook. I don't know how to believe without worrying at the same time. There was no judgment in the silence, only patience. Nothing changed quickly. Days passed, weeks passed, and the situation I worried about did not improve. Waiting became part of my life. Waiting is where worry grows best, because waiting feels like being forgotten. During that time, I was tempted to panic, to take control again, to stop trusting, to worry harder. I told myself, if I worry enough, I'll be ready for anything. But worry never prepares you. It only exhausts you. One afternoon, I sat by the window. Rain fell gently outside. The world moved slowly. I felt a thought rise in my heart, not loud, not forceful. Did worrying ever save you? The answer was clear. No. That day, I made a small choice, not a big promise, not a dramatic decision, just a choice. Every time worry came, I would bring it to God again. Even if it came back 100 times. Trust is not a one-time act. It is a daily decision. Slowly, something changed. The problems were still there. The uncertainty remained. But my heart reacted differently. I still felt concern, but not panic. I still felt questions, but not fear. Peace did not mean everything was fixed. It meant I was no longer carrying everything alone. For the first time in a long time, I slept peacefully. Not because I hadn't worries, but because I trusted God with the questions. That night, before sleep, I whispered, God, I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know you will be there. And that was enough. There came a day when the thing I worried about stood right in front of me. No warning, no gentle preparation, just reality. My heart sank. This was the moment I had feared in my thoughts, the moment worry had rehearsed 1,000 times, and now it was real. I wanted to pray, but no words came. I sat quietly holding my hands together. God, I whispered, I trusted you. Why does it still hurt? There was no anger in my voice, only confusion. I felt small and tired. My mind rushed forward again. What if this gets worse? What if I cannot handle it? What if trusting God was a mistake? Worry knocked loudly at my heart. It offered control again, but control had never given me peace. Instead of reacting, I paused. I took a deep breath. I remembered every moment God had carried me before, even when I did not notice. I remembered nights I survived, days I thought I wouldn't. I was still here. That was when I prayed differently. Not asking for answers, not asking for change, just surrender. God, I said softly, this is too heavy for me. I give it to you. I placed my hands open in front of me. I choose to trust you, even if I don't understand. Nothing around me changed. The problem did not disappear. The situation stayed the same. But something inside me shifted. The tightness in my chest loosened. My breathing slowed. Peace came quietly, not as relief, but as strength. I understood something that day. Faith is not believing nothing bad will happen. Faith is believing God will be with you, no matter what happens. And that truth changed everything. That night, I slept without fear, not because I felt safe in life, but because I felt safe in God. I stopped watching the clock. I stopped planning worst-case endings. I rested. From that day forward, worry did not control my life. It still visited sometimes, but it no longer stayed. Each time it came, I returned it to God, again and again. Trust became my response, not my struggle. Life did not become perfect after that moment. Problems did not disappear. Uncertainty did not leave. But I noticed something different. I woke up calmer. I breathed easier. Trust had become part of my routine, not just a prayer. Worry still tried to visit. It whispered familiar fears. It reminded me of unknown tomorrows. But now I recognized it. I no longer listened. Instead, I said quietly, God already knows this, and that was enough. Trusting God is not a single moment. It is a daily choice. Some days were easy, some days were hard. On hard days, I returned to simple prayers. God, help me today. God, walk with me. Simple prayers carry deep faith. I found peace in small things. A quiet morning, a warm cup of tea, a gentle breeze. These moments reminded me that God was present. Not only in big miracles, but in everyday life. Some answers came later. Some never came at all. But I stopped demanding explanations. Trust taught me something better. God's presence is more important than God's explanations. I felt free, not from problems, but from fear. I stopped living in tomorrow. I learned to stay in today. Today has enough grace. People noticed the change. They asked, how are you so calm? I smiled and said, I gave my worries to God, not because I was strong, but because I was tired of carrying them. Gratitude grew where anxiety once lived. I thanked God more. I worried less. I trusted deeper, and my heart felt lighter. Before sleep each night, I did one thing. I placed everything in God's hands. Every fear, every question, every tomorrow. And then I rested. When I look back now, I see how much time worry stole from me. Moments I could have enjoyed, peace I could have felt. I cannot change the past, but I can live differently now. And that makes all the difference. What worry taught me my limits. It showed me how small I am and how big God is. I was never meant to carry everything. That burden belongs to God alone. Trust did not remove every storm, but it gave me an anchor. When waves came, I did not drift away. I stayed grounded, not in my strength, but in God's faithfulness. If you are listening right now with a worried heart, I understand you. I have been there. You do not have to figure everything out tonight. You just have to place it in God's hands. Let us pray together. God, I give you what I cannot control. I release what I cannot fix. Teach my heart to trust you, one day at a time. Amen. Trusting God does not mean you will never feel afraid. It means fear will no longer rule you. And when worry comes, You will know where to take it. Tonight, rest. Not because life is perfect, but because God is present. Trust God. Don't worry about anything. He's already there.